Good morning, my dear student. I hope you are okay. This lecture number 10. In this lecture, we are going to talk about labor unions. This is a new topic. We didn't mention before the role of labor union. Okay? So, the title of this lecture is about labor union. We need to define what is labor union and what its types. Okay? How we define labor union? You could say that labor union is just an institution or organization representing workers' interests in the labor market. Okay, so this is a definition of labor union. It is just an institution or an organization representing workers' interests in the labor market. They are mainly responsible for the improvement in working conditions. For example, the number of working hours, wages, non-monetary benefits, job satisfaction, worker productivity, and so on. Okay? So this is the definition of a labor union. We could look at labor union as a monopoly of labor. Okay? Someone saying while the labor union is good for workers or their members, but they may impose cost on the other members of the society. So how we can understand this? Yes, labor unions could make benefits for its members, that's true, by providing higher wage, but at the same time, if the firm raises the product price, the consumers will be affected. So you can think about this. Sometimes even we have benefits from labor union. It has some cost on the other members of the society. Okay? In this chapter, we talk about two types of labor union. We have two types of labor union. We have what we call industrial union, and the other type is craft union. What is the difference between industrial union and craft union? Industrial union means the union represents all workers in a given industry or firm, regardless of their occupations. Okay? So in this case, labor union consists of all workers in a given industry or firm, regardless of their occupations. Let me give you an example for industrial union, like auto workers or car workers union. This is an example. So all workers in the auto industry will be included in this union. Let me give another example. Steel workers union. All workers in industries of steels will be included in this labor union of steel. Okay, so this is an example of industrial union. So this represents all workers in industry or a firm, regardless of their occupation, like what I am saying now, auto workers union or steel workers union. How about craft union? Craft union represent workers in a single occupation. Okay? In a single occupation. Regardless the industry. Okay? Let me give you an example. For example, the Union for Engineers. This is craft union. Union for Doctors. This is craft union. Okay? And so on. So in this case, for example, for lawyers, okay? Unions of lawyers. This is also craft workers. So we have two types of unions. Unions could be industrial or could be craft. The other point we need to study in this section, what determines the union membership, okay? What determines the union membership? We need to know whether the worker decide to join or not to join the union. We will use the labor leisure choice model we studied before to know what determines the union membership. Let me give you this graph to know what determines the union membership. Okay? Suppose here is leisure and here is money, okay? And this is the total time available. Remember, we used this model before. We are going to assume that workers has indifference curve. We have indifference curve for workers, indifference curve, have the same shape as you know, okay? Suppose we have this graph. If this is your budget constraint, 80, okay? And the worker choose this point P as an optimal choice and receive utility as you want at the tangency point, okay, between the budget constraint and the highest indifference curve for worker. Okay, so now the worker is maximizing his utility. He is going to have leisure as L star and as work as H star. Okay, so this is work and this is leisure. Okay, this is leisure and this is work. Okay, and he receives utility as U1. We don't have here any role of union. Suppose now we introduce union. If we introduce labor union and labor union offer the worker higher wage, suppose this wage is W star before union, and union put this wage is W. W is higher than W star. Okay, so this is the new budget constraint as we have union or labor union in this industry. Now, what makes the worker to join or not to join the labor union? Let me say this example. Suppose the worker choose this point B node at the new budget constraint DT, okay? He is going to receive this level of utility, U node, okay? Now, he has more leisure and he has less work. Now he has, for example, less work. Suppose this is work as H node, this H node, okay? So this worker is going to work only H node and have this time as leisure, and he receive higher wage as W. As you see now, the worker is worse off. If he choose point B node, he is worse off. He should not join the union because he will receive lower utility. Okay? So if the worker choose point B node, he is going to receive lower utility, although he is receiving higher wage. Why he receive lower utility? Because he has big loss in hours of work, okay? If the point is here, suppose the point is here, if he choose B1, if the worker choose point P1 at U2, for example, okay, at this point P1, okay, as you see, he received higher wage, and also he has higher hours of work, okay, so employment increase to H1, okay, so in this case, B1 is preferred to point P. The worker now is better off. So now the decision is to join the union. So let me repeat again. If the worker choose B node, he receive lower utility and he decide not to join the union. But if he choose P1, he is going to decide to join the union because he receive higher utility, okay? So this is one important factor that affect union membership. We call this as wage employment package. Wage employment package, okay? Wage employment package, okay? Wage employment package. So if the workers receive an offer from the union or a package and make him better off, he is going to join the union. If the package or the offer is not good for the worker, he decides not to join the union. This is very important factor. It is called wage employment package offered by union, okay? To decide whether the worker is better off or worse off. The other factor affect the union membership is the cost of membership, the cost of membership, okay? So if we have no cost of membership, we have incentive for many workers to join the union. But if we have high cost of membership, we may expect less of workers decide to join the union, okay? So this is point what determines the union membership. Point number 3, we are going to talk about Marshall's rules and union behavior. Now we talk about, you remember Marshall's rule? I repeat Marshall's rules. Okay, Marshall's rule. We studied this before. Marshall's rules. We know the Marshall's rules. The ease of substitution. Okay, the ease of substitution. The elasticity of demand of the product. Yes. Number 3, the share of wage to total cost. And number 4, the elasticity of supply of other inputs. Okay? How we apply this Marshall's rules for union? Okay? The union need the demand for labor to be less elastic. It is good for union. The union will be more successful if the demand for labor is less elastic. Okay? How to make demand for labor less elastic according to Marshall's rules? Yes, the union prefer to have the less of those factors I am just saying. So the union prefers to have not easy substitution, okay? Low price elasticity of demand, low share of wage to total cost, and low elasticity of other inputs, low of supply elasticity of other elements. So the less of these rules, the less the elastic of labor demand, and the more successful will be the union, and vice versa, okay? So remember here, what we call B1 is preferred to be nude. At B1, we have less decrease in employment, but at B0, we have big decrease in employment, okay? So demand at B0 is elastic. Demand at P1 is less elastic, okay? So this is why the union will be good or more successful as demand is inelastic, okay? Let me give you some example about the union behaviors. It is not surprising that unions often resist technological change. The technological change may make the easier substitution. For example, labor union refused the invention of word processing. Okay? Why they refused this new technology, the word processing technology? Because now we don't have typists. Now it is easy to substitute the word processing for typistors. Okay? So this is always union is refusing or resisting any technical change that make easy substitution. Okay? Let me give you another example about demand. The union also need to have low price elasticity of demand. For example, the union is encouraging the limiting of goods imported from abroad. Why? To make demand for domestic product less elastic. This is another example. So if you are allowing for foreign goods to enter your country, what does it mean? You have many substitutes. So this make elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand is high. So this is not good for union. The union need to less or low price elasticity of demand. So the union will encourage limiting the imported goods from abroad. Okay? And so on. So all those unions need to prefer demand to be less elastic for labor according to Marshall's rules. Okay? Let me give you another example about the union. Yes. So suppose we impose minimum wage. If we impose minimum wage, union will encourage the government to apply this minimum wage for all workers, whether those workers are union worker or non-union worker. Okay? Why? Because non-union worker could be substitute for union worker. So now unions is encouraging the government to apply the minimum wage to all sectors in the labor market, whether it is union sector or non-union sector. Okay? So this is about Marshall's rules and the union behavior. Let me move to another point, important point. What are the impacts of labor union on wage and employment? What is the impact of labor union on wage and employment, assuming one single competitive market? Okay? So now we introduce union to the labor market. What are the impacts on wage and employment? Okay? The union always need to give the workers higher wage. Suppose this is wage, and this is employment, and this is demand, and this is supply freedom. Okay? This is demand, and this is supply. Okay? And this is the equilibrium wage before union. Okay? If we introduce union here, and the union is willing to increase wage, the union could increase demand. Okay? So this is demand, this is supply, and this is demand. Okay? This is demand and this is supply. So we expect the union is willing to shift the labor demand curve from DE to D-E. Now the new equilibrium will be here. As you see, now the union increase wage and increase employment, okay, by increasing labor demand. How the union can increase labor demand? We have different ways. Increase labor productivity. This is one way. Increase the price of substitute inputs for labor. Okay? And so on. Okay? So the union is willing to increase labor demand. Also, the union may encourage to increase the number of employers. When we increase the number of employers, we expect more demand on labor. So this is one way to increase wage in competitive market. The other way is to restricting supply. Okay? The other way, union can affect the market by restricting supply. If this is demand, and this is initial supply, and this is initial equilibrium, if the union limiting supply or decreasing supply, supply will shift to the left, like this. Okay? And we are going to move to W1, but here we expect less employment. So in this case, if union is restricting supply, it expects to have higher wage, yes, but also less employment. How union can restrict or decrease supply? By limiting entry to the labor union, by making shorter work weeks, by limiting immigration, and so on. Okay? By hiring the age to join, required to join the union, and so on. So the union can restrict supply by this way, and now it can increase wage but decrease employment. The other way, the union can affect equilibrium by setting minimum wage. If this is demand before union, and this is supply, and this is wage, equilibrium, okay? If the union make higher minimum wage, for example, this is the minimum wage, okay? At this minimum wage, as you see, the worker receive higher wage. The workers who kept their jobs will receive higher wage, but we expect some workers to lose their jobs, okay? So here we impose minimum wage, okay? So we have three ways to affect wages and employment in the competitive market if it is one single market. Again, increase demand, decrease or restrict supply, setting minimum wage. Okay? How about the impact of union if we have two sectors in labor market? Suppose we have two sectors in labor market. Let me say we have union sector and non-union sector. What are the effects in this case if the union set a minimum wage? Okay? Let me say that we have two sectors, and the two sectors first were competitive, like this. This is union sector, and this will be non-union sector. Okay? So let me start from, this is demand, for union sector, and this is supply, and this is wage. Let me say the wage is W star or W naught. Okay, I will have the same wage here. If this is DN, this is demand for non-union worker, and this is supply, this is SN, and this is also W naught. And okay, and this is E naught. Okay, E naught N, and this is E naught U. Okay, so this is two sectors of labor market have the same equilibrium competitive wage. If this sector is unionized, we introduce union here, and the union bought a minimum wage here. If this is the minimum wage, okay, this is minimum wage. What are the effects in this case? As you see here, when union ask for higher wage, the reaction of firms is to decrease employment. Okay, now employment decreases to E-U from E naught U. So this is the first effect on union sector. So the workers who kept their jobs receive higher wage, yes, but we expect some workers lose their jobs. Okay? How this will affect the other market? We assume that those workers who are now unemployed, here now we have unemployed worker, so unemployment increase. If we assume that all unemployment or unemployed workers move to the non-union sector, how this will affect his equilibrium? It will increase supply, okay, as those unemployed workers decide to move from union sector to non-union sector. How this affect this sector? This means lower wage, okay, and higher employment, as you see here, okay. So not only the union sector affect the union sector only, the minimum wage affect both sectors, okay, affect also the non-union sector, okay. So this is an important. So unions have an impact not only on union sector but also on non-union sectors. We call this as spillover effect. Spillover effect. Spillover effects of unions, okay? So if I ask you, what are the spillover effects of union? In the case of two sectors, you have to explain this to graphs. This is union sector, and the union set minimum wage here. Then we have unemployment. We allow for unemployed worker to move from union sector to non-union sector. What is the final effect here? We expect lower wage and higher employment, okay? So this point also is an important point. I have also one title here, important title here, okay? Let me have this example. You will find an assignment at the end of this lecture. You will find assignment at the end of this lecture. I just want to help you about the last assignment, assignment number 2 in this assignment. It talks about the spillover effects of labor union. Okay, I give you two sectors. I give you two sectors in this assignment. I give you this sector and this sector. I give you demand and supply. I give you demand and supply of union sector, and demand and supply of non-union sector, okay? Then I ask you to show the effects of setting minimum wage in this sector. The idea is you have to calculate the equilibrium first. You need to calculate equilibrium in union sector and non-union sector before minimum wage, okay? Before minimum wage. This is the first step. So this is step number one to solve this question. You equate between demand and supply for each sector to find out what is equilibrium wage and equilibrium employment. Step number two. We set minimum wage here, okay? And you know what the effect of minimum wage on non-union sector. Employment will decrease. So you have to calculate how much unemployment you are going to calculate this distance, okay? How? You substitute the minimum wage in demand, you know how many workers will be employed. You substitute the minimum wage in supply, you know the number of workers are going to supply, the difference will be unemployment. Good. We allow for this unemployed workers to move to this sector, okay? When they are moving to this sector, how this sector will be affected? Supply will increase. So the supply function of labor will change here. You add to this supply those number of workers, okay? Then you solve the new equilibrium. You can find the new wage and the new employment, okay? This is your idea, or this idea may help you to solve this assignment number 2. Okay? We stop here and we may give you another lecture after a while. Thank you so much.